Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It is White Rice Wednesday, which means time for my Survivor recap. So tonight's the Merge episode, and let me tell you, it was probably the fucking best Merge episode I've seen in a while. Wearing my Merge buff here. So we get back from last week. Shan is starting to question if she made the right choice to vote off Jeannie. And she's talking about how Jeannie brought up that she's a pastor, but she kept Ricard because he brings out the game aspect in her. And again, she's trying to get this advantage back from Ricard, and Ricard's not buying any for crap. Ricard mentions how, now these aren't his words, these are my words, but how she tried to trick him last time, because it's like she would go into the merge with an idol and advantage. So who's to say Shan isn't going to vote Ricard off? Like, I wouldn't trust her, and Ricard's not putting up with any of that crap. So people are starting to get tree mail that the merge is coming. Liana says that she wants to keep Xander in his place, thinking like that they're so tight when really they're not. On Blue, Nasir mentions how they have the numbers going in, and it's a fact. Blue has the numbers going in, so as long as they can stay Blue strong, they could basically pick everyone off one by one and then go to the final six together. That's one scenario. So this is where the episode gets interesting. So usually, the merge feast, challenge, and there's immunity. Jeff said this is gonna make history tonight, and it did. So it's so historical that it's in two parts. So we have to wait for next week to see the outcome. So now, yeah. So there's no tribal tonight. They have to compete in this challenge to win. And how Jeff puts it is, even when you think you're safe, you're not really safe. What they do before this challenge starts is that they have to draw rocks. So it's like, oh my god, we're gonna freaking draw rocks already. And whoever draws the gray rock sits out. They do not compete in the challenge, and the team who wins gets to decide their fate. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is interesting. I have no idea what this is gonna be. And they basically had to push this boulder. They had to dig around it. It was a big ass boulder, and I can't imagine the strength and that. Oh my god, to get that out. And they had to get a key to unlock and get puzzle pieces to solve a puzzle. And I gotta give them credit. I mean, there was pretty good teamwork coming from both teams. And what happened? Blue won again. I don't know what it is about the freaking blue color, but that apparently is a lucky color. So what happened was, it was Nasir and Erica that drew the gray rocks. They had a decision to make. They can choose somebody. The winners had to make a decision. They had to choose somebody to go with them, so it would be as if they won, and then they would send somebody else to Exile Island. Ooh, we haven't seen Exile Island in quite a few seasons. So they choose to take Nasir with them, and they said they based that decision of rock, paper, scissors. I could definitely see why they took Nasir, because I would think taking Nasir, they see that he's a more loyal player, whereas they were just talking about the other week about Erica and how paranoid she is, and they want to get Erica out. But on the flip side, there's that whole saying, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. So, I mean, you could see either way. So, at the merge feast, you have Deshawn, Ricard, Evie, Danny, and Sydney, and they're all safe at tribal. So Nasir then talks about, well, not just Nasir, but they talk about why they chose Nasir over Erica, and basically it's once again these guys are so threatened by an all-girls alliance. I mean, it really says a lot about them when they're threatened by an all-girls alliance that's not even happening yet. They're just threatened like, oh, all these girls are talking. Oh, I noticed more guys are out. Oh, we got to get these girls out. Wow. So, Erica's talking about her life and how nothing's come easy for her. So, this should be no surprise, like, for Exile Island. From what she said, she knows how to handle herself and everything. So, I definitely think she can get through this. So, then you have Xander, Tiffany, Liana, Shan, and Heather have to compete in the immunity challenge. I'm very curious to see who the heck would win out of those guys. And Tiffany, what happens there is that Shan says to ask Liana in front of Tiffany if she got the advantage, and Liana didn't want to tell anybody yet, and she says to Shan, yes, she found the advantage, and she told her exactly what it is, how they can steal. She could steal an advantage or an idol from somebody. I'm like, why the fuck would you tell Shan? She's probably the person you can least trust out there. Now she has all that. She has that information now, so now she can use that against her because she suggested to either on Naseer or Xander. But now that Shan has that, she can make it so Liana plays it on the wrong person. That would be very interesting. So then Tiffany asks Liana exactly what the advantage is, and she tells Tiffany, and she's more threatened by Tiffany than she is by Shan. I'm like, because she said Tiffany has all that knowledge now, but Shan has that knowledge too, and you don't see her as a threat. Like, that's just mind-boggling to me. So, Tiffany is not sure if she can trust Liana because Liana didn't tell Tiffany right off the bat about the advantage. And, yeah. So, Tiffany has every right not to trust Liana, especially she sees how close that her and Shan are getting. She has a right to be worried. So, you see, when they finally get back, Naseer talks with Xander saying that they got each other's backs. Danny suggests that Erica goes, and that they should have the mindset of having the easy vote. But as we know in Survivor, nothing is ever that easy. And Sydney wants to get Erica out also. But then Shan comes up with all black alliance between her, Liana, Danny, and Deshawn. So I'm not sure if Danny and Deshawn will go with that because they were just complaining about they're threatened by an all-girls alliance, so it seems like they wouldn't want women in their alliance. But I could see why they would want that to happen. I mean, if they could pull it off, that's great, good for them. But you also have to remember who else is in your alliance, Shan. So, like, you just can't trust her. I mean, I give her major credit. She's playing a very good game at the moment, but you just cannot trust her. So, if they could pull it off, I would love to see the outcome, like, what kind of damage they can do. But then I'm also curious, because at some point, we all know how this works, that somebody is eventually going to turn on one another. My money would be on Shan, but we never know. We never know what's going to happen on Survivor. So, at Exile Island, this is where the big twist comes in. Jeff comes. I'm thinking the whole time it's like, in Game Changers, when Cochran comes on a boat, I'm like waiting for another Survivor player to come, and it's Jeff. And he brings this hourglass, and I'm thinking, what is this? I immediately thought the hourglass was how long she had to make that decision. It's not. So, the big twist is Erica can choose to change Survivor history. Erica can choose the outcome to reverse the outcome of the past challenge. So basically, what would happen is if she chooses to change history, Xander, Tiffany, Leanna, Shan, and Heather would now become safe and not have to compete in the immunity challenge. And then Danny, Deshawn, Sydney, Ricard, and Nasir would all be vulnerable then going into and Evie, I'm sorry, going into the next tribal. So yeah, so she definitely has a decision to make. And let me point out though that if she chooses to change history, she will also become safe. And yeah, I'm very, very curious to see what she chooses. I would think she would want to choose the guarantee of her being safe, because she mentioned to Jeff, and she mentioned on Exile and on a confessional, that she feels like she's on the bottom, and clearly she's on the bottom if everybody wants to get rid of her. So I would think she'd want to change history and she would be safe, and then it'd be very interesting to see out of that group who would win. I mean, it's interesting both ways, but you've got all the like muscle on the other side, so you got a bit like a good challenge going on there. So we don't know what she chooses, and of course the previews for next week, they leave out a cliffhanger, so we're not going to know what she chooses until next week. So we have 7 days to find out what Erika chose. So yeah, very good merge episode of Survivor. Hope you guys enjoyed Survivor, and I hope you guys enjoyed my Survivor recap. If you want to check out Survivor, it is on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on CBS, or you can watch it live on Paramount Plus. Until next time, stay regal.